Welcome, amazing value-adding realtors and investors from across the country. Today is Thursday, January 30th, 2020, and this is Mastermind call number 263. Wanted to start with congratulations to Richard Eaton. He was our winner of the week last week with 3 new deals. He told us a great, inspiring story of how he got them. And also wanted to thank Joanne Tassani. All of you, if you're not aware, we have a very active mastermind group, a Facebook group, All the Leads Mastermind. If any of you haven't joined, please feel free. And we try to vent the people in that group. We try to at least make sure they are either realtors or investors and they have a reason for being there. But occasionally someone will try to spam. I mean, we've had people try to sell sunglasses, multi-level subscriptions for vitamins, and Joanne noticed one yesterday that was totally unrelated to real estate, and she notified us, and I took it down right away. So we appreciate you guys kind of keeping an eye on that group. We have pretty loose parameters. I mean, anything you want to post in there that you think would be beneficial to realtors and investors, it doesn't necessarily have to be probate related. We would kind of prefer if it were, but anything that is just beneficial to people in your industry or our industry, that's kind of what the group is for. So thanks to Joanne for flagging that and letting us remove it right away. And that's all I've got this week. Partners, anything you want to add?
I'm just sorry that you caught me on my sunglasses scam, but, okay. I get it now.
All right. Well, good. Yeah, we got to keep you in check, Tim. Chad, anything you want to add? I know you just completed I think you just completed another mastery, right? Or are you getting ready to come up on one? I lost track.
We finished mastery last week. I haven't scheduled February yet because of some undetermined travel dates, but it'll be later in the month. We have had quite a few people sign up this week, and if you're waiting to take mastery and you want to be in the February class, if you go ahead and sign up now, we'll send you the recordings from January, which was ended up being a master class. It was 15 hours of content, a lot of Q&A. We went really deep and wide on the Q&A session. So if you're waiting for mastery, go ahead and get signed up, and we'll register you we'll send you the recordings and register you for the live class as soon as we settle on those dates. The other thing, I want to remind everybody, especially if you're new to this call, this is a weekly mastermind call that we do. We also host a monthly role play call. So next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern is the first Wednesday of the month. So that's where we normally try to have that call land. So if you haven't marked your calendar, 2 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, February 5th, we'll have an hour of live probate role play.
Role play, also known as Stump the Coach. I don't think we've done it yet, but I'm always challenging people to bring difficult situations to Chad. See if we can one of these months, we will stump them. Guys, great job. I've hardly even begged, and we've got 7 in the queue already. So let's get to the people in the queue. First up this week is phone number ending in 4027. You're up first.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How you doing, John?
This is John Randolph from Columbia, Tennessee. And I just got started with you guys with all the leads. And I had some questions about one thing. I'm new to real estate as well. I just got my license last April. So how do you get past not having a lot of experience in real estate? What is your secret or anything you can bring to the table to help me get past that as far as talking to people about using my services?
The same as any objection. I mean, the best way to defeat any objection is never let it arise. And the best way for that one to not arise is for you to be confident and control your conversation. So if you don't feel that, if there's not a lack of confidence there, and you're not kind of stammering and having a hard time even presenting your own value, then usually they just assume that you have lots and lots of experience. And, that's one of the things for me, what I realized early on and when we started this was if there was any one gift I could give to each of you, it would be confidence, because once you have that, everything else kind of becomes fun and easy, and it just falls into place. It's getting to that confidence level. So if you understand the probate process and you're clear on what solutions you can provide for the family, you should be pretty confident that you're a better person for them to be on the phone with than anyone else, right? And what I mean by staying in control of the conversation, you talk 20% of the time by asking good questions and let them talk 80% of the time. And typically, if you're using that recipe, it never comes around to how did you get my phone number, how much experience do you have, where's your office. And I learned this in my own business. When I had weaker sales skills, people were asking me those questions. Well, how did you get my cell phone? Or, how did you know this? Or where is your office? Or how many deals have you done? How long have you been in Roanoke? And I was getting those questions until I became more confident in my delivery and I stayed in control of my conversation. And at that time, they were always on.
Thanks for calling United Ad Legal. This is Teresa. How can I help you?
Hey, Teresa, can you put me through to the All the Leads Mastermind, please?
I don't even see that person. I don't know how she got unmuted, but was that in your background there, John, or not?
Yeah, I heard that.
Oh, okay. All right. Go ahead. Go ahead, Chad. Sorry.
Yeah, I understand. Basically, just have confidence and keep the conversation going, without having the questions.
John, if I could add something, every time this question comes up, I always just like to remind people we've had, I can think of 3 or 4 cases of, we had a girl one time come on the call and had done 4 deals in the last week. And when we started digging into her background, it was her first 4 deals in real estate. She had got her license 2 weeks ago. So we've had a few people like that. This may just make you feel more confident, the fact that a vast majority of these people are not local. You're reaching out to somebody, the oldest child or the one that got put in charge 1,000 miles away. They don't see the real estate signs. They don't hear the commercials. They really don't know you from anybody else in your market. So if there's any niche where you're really on equal footing with more experienced agents, it's this one. And I would say that you're ahead of most agents because this isn't a niche that they really work. And I stepped over you there. What were you saying, John?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when I got into it, is that this would be the best niche to be in right now.
Sure.
A new realtor. Also, I wanted to know, I had another question too.
Sure.
If I want to get started right away, I've got a list already, and I'm trying to come up with my mailers to go out to people. And should I go ahead with that, even though I do not have my list of experts complete yet? I haven't gotten everyone that I need on that list of people that I need for experts.
Yeah, so you're never gonna be done building your. Like, you're always gonna find new, unique challenges that families are having, and then you'll be finding partners to help you bring them a solution. So, really your core partners that most everybody's gonna, will see some value in, will be having a good contractor, having an estate sales solution, a clean out crew, a good attorney that you can run the deals through that has experience working with title issues, just in case you uncover one. But I tell everybody, if you had a $30,000 commission waiting at your broker's office, but you had to build your team first, you would have it done in a day or 2 at most. If you really need those people, you'll find out how to find them, and it's not difficult. Like, you can build your team really quickly. So don't let that prevent you from marketing. Just going back to the first part of your question, go forward with confidence that you can find that team member within 24 hours. If someone says, "Oh my gosh, my brother can take care of himself, but he's never really had a job, and he needs to move out of the house, but we don't know where he needs to go." Well, you might not have a solution for that right now, but you can very quickly come up, connect with a social worker or the housing authority or a mental health facility that has HUD vouchers. So it's just an extreme example of one that you probably are not even thinking of, but you can easily go get that solution within a day. So just market with confidence, knowing that no matter what problem they have, you can find the person to be the solution.
Yeah.
And Chad, I
And
think one of your tips from the trainer was on building the team, right? Didn't you have a tip for the trainer, or don't we have that somewhere in the archives?
Yeah. You can search if you use the search bar in the top right of alltheleads.com and just type in building your team or building a team. That should bring up several pieces of content where we talk about this. And I'm getting ready I kind of map this out in a mind map format so you can see how it branches out and why each of these people are important and what value they can bring. And I'm going to update that and give you a much longer, just take a much deeper dive into it, like literally one branch at a time. This is a team member. This is what they can do. Here's how you find them. And I just haven't gotten around to producing that piece, but we'll have that probably in the next couple of weeks.
That would be awesome. Well, thank you. That's pretty much all my questions right now.
And John, our partner Tom said, get with him. He said he's missed you a couple times for your orientation session, so get with him and get started. He'll get you on the right path. Okay. All right, sir. Thank you. Guys, this is amazing. This is amazing. We have 8 in the queue, and I haven't even had to beg. So next up is phone number ending in 9130. You're up next.
Hi, I'm new to the call. I took Chad's class last week, which, it's our fault that we kept him on the phone for 16 hours. But we weren't going to let you go without finding out every little nook and cranny. I had the luxury of listening before the roll call or before our mastery to a lot of role play, and so I'm like through 2019, 2018, 2017. So it's really answered a lot of questions that might have come up during mastery. But the few that I have, I'm just going to kind of throw them out at you and let you answer them without going one by one. My first one was, once you find all their needs and you get them hooked up with, the vendors that are going to best help them, what is your process to not be the middleman, but to make sure, it's being taken care of properly, just that check back and calling, making sure that the family is actually getting the services that were promised by the vendors. The next one was, when it comes to like all the little stuff, I mean, I help people with this moving into a house when they buy, but like the utilities, DirecTV, getting their, Social Security and their driver's license and, all of that taken care of. I've been through this 3 times. Twice it was easy peasy, and once it was a nightmare for the family, and it turned into all-out warfare. And so, my experience, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this. But those little things were where the headaches really, really fell into play. And then my last thing is a comment. Everybody needs to listen to role play number 47 with Jason on October 16th. It's the one that he called and a young man answered, and he asked for, do you know the woman? And he goes, well, she died too. And it was just the 2 brothers that, and Jason sort of didn't know what to say, like both parents have just died now, and these 2 boys don't know what to do. It was heartbreaking, but anyway, those are my 3.
Heartbreaking and a little inspirational. It sounds like it kind of moved you, right?
Oh yeah, it moved you guys too.
Yeah.
All of you were, everybody had a comment and was like, now you guys, you counseled him to call back and say, you've really been on my mind, and I've talked to my mentor, and of all the people we can help, you guys are the ones that need our help the most. And but it was kind of one of those things that you're not expecting to happen. And
sure.
You guys really it was just such a great call that everybody needs to hear it.
Thank you.
Awesome.
That's great.
Thanks for pointing that out. We have so much stuff now, it's hard to tell what to highlight, so I appreciate you pointing that out for everybody. Okay, so the first part of your question, if you remember how I tie up the face-to-face appointment in the last 3 minutes, everything kind of comes together. And this is for those of you who haven't been through Mastery, that's what I'm referencing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll set the target date as an anchor, and then I'll walk back through the plan and explain to them which of the vendors will be reaching out to them, and kind of just make sure that they understand the strategy and the timeline that we agreed to. As soon as I get back to my office, what I prefer to do is do an email with every vendor on there and send the email to the seller, and then you CC each and every vendor. And you basically just lay out a schedule. So I'll say, you know, hello, Mrs. Smith, as discussed, our timeline for getting this done is as follows. And then I'll basically just rehash that so it's in writing so everybody can see it. So, you know, if we're listing and if we want to be done in 3 months, I'll start at that 3-month closing table and just walk it back. And at each point in that timeline, I'll say, you know, John Smith will be calling you about the estate sale. He's calling on this date. And then after that, we'll have the clean-out crew. That's going to be Sam Biggs, and he'll be calling you on this date. And then, so I'll just kind of lay it out in a timeline format with the person's name, contact information, and when I expect the vendor to be calling them. And I'll just CC everybody. So the estate sale company knows that they're on a deadline because right behind them comes the clean-out crew. Right behind that are the cleaning ladies, then the stagers, then the photographers, and, you know, down the line. So everybody's kind of on the same page. I found that to be the best way to get the hell out of my own way. Just because none of it's coming through my books. All I want to know is that I've been able to pull the solution together and that they deliver for me. And if not, they lose their place on my team and someone else has it the next day, right? And so far, I've never, I was really lucky and built good relationships, and my team members get it done when they say they're going to. I've never had any trouble with that. I've never had to babysit my own team members. So that's the way I do it. I find that, you know, we're throwing a lot of information at the family in that first face-to-face appointment. So verbally saying it might work for some, but putting it in writing and in a timeline schedule format is really helpful for them. And then, you know, I explain in there that, you know, each of these people will arrange for payment, so you don't have to be chasing me around or whatever. And I've never had a problem with only a couple times have I had my clients say, you know, I'd rather just pay you and you can get it done. And both times they were very elderly people, like in their 90s. And unfortunately, they had parents that lived into their hundreds. But these were the children representing the estate in their 90s. But they're just kind of from a different era. And so I paid my vendors, and then they literally drove to me and handed me a personal check to reimburse me, right afterwards. But in most cases, you don't have to step in and do any of that. Your vendors will connect as soon as they get the email. They'll call and make a connection, set an appointment. They'll show up with their paperwork, whatever that might be, and it all happens really smoothly. So I think it's hard for some people to believe because this is the way we present this, because we want you to really understand it. It seems like almost an impossible undertaking, and it's going to be 10 times as much work as a regular deal. But the reality is, by doing it the way I just said, you don't really do any more work. You just get a lot more social credit because you're providing a much higher level of service, but you're not really, for most of us. We had one agent, she actually does her own pressure washing, painting, she's the handyman and the broker. But just because she likes to do that. She likes to do that kind of work. But for most of us, we're not going to lift a finger and do much other than do the face-to-face appointment and show up to get it on the market. So it's actually as easy, if not easier, than a typical listing in most cases.
And Sandy, go ahead.
No.
Just while we're on that, I was just going to, before you move to the second part, if you don't mind, Sandy, you triggered something that I don't think we've ever heard before. You kind of triggered an idea that I wanted to mention. You said when people move in, you kind of have a move-in package for them, your television, your water, your electric, etc. And funny, just yesterday, my mom had passed away about last year, and we were getting her mail forwarded because the mailman knew, and then we got a new mailman. When the mail showed up yesterday, I said, I should get a change of address card, and I was really surprised. The postal carrier gave me a really nice little package that suggested, cable, TV, all the things when somebody moves that need to be transferred, and they had little coupons in there. And that would be an interesting service that I don't think anybody's ever done before, because even if if the occupants are deceased and there's no one there, you still probably want to forward the mail, disconnect your utilities, etc. So I just want to mention, I think that's a really good idea, and I don't think anybody's ever talked about doing that before. And even if you just got the one from the post office and gave it to them. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, when my grandmother passed away, it was all set up. So my mom and my uncle were the executors, even with everybody picking stuff. They went in birth order. Everybody chose what they wanted. Boom, boom, boom. Everything was set up perfectly. Everybody was paid out and it was closed. You know what I mean? When my mom passed, everything was set up. I think she had $1 million unexpected hospital bill, and I think we ended up paying like $200 total. However, when it came to DirecTV, I lost my ever-loving mind on that woman.
Yeah.
And if she called my dad one more time.
Yep.
And then threatening us with she owes money. I said, good luck, she's dead.
Yep.
But it was so stressful that finally, let me just talk to a supervisor and all of that kind of stuff. And finally, just their demeanor on the other end of the phone was to the point where it pulled out that person that you never want to be. And Chad says people can't stay mad for very long, let them blow off their steam. Oh, this was the moment where I turned into the barroom guy. It was not going to end.
That's great.
Because it was like 6 phone calls later. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so I don't want anybody to, and my mom was completely set up perfectly. My niece took care of this, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So we had it all just like that checklist, and they even had their funeral set up. So there are people at the Neptune Society, which is a crematorium, blah, blah, blah. They gave us a packet that said, okay, these are the next things you need to do. So I'm going to absolutely use them as a vendor because I don't want the families to go through this again. So you can prepare all of this so your families don't have to make these decisions. But
sure.
But that was my biggest thing was we help people do it when they're buying a house, but how do you extricate yourself from all that crap when somebody dies?
Exactly. And I think it's a really good idea to have a little package. Even if you just took the package that the post office offers, I was surprised how good it was, and put your business card on it and hand that to people. I mean, it's a start. So I think it's an excellent idea. I just wanted to mention that. And then, Chad, I interrupted you. You were going to answer the second part of the question.
Yeah, that's what you guys were just discussing. So,
okay.
Especially with your level, your experience, having been through this multiple times, you really understand the personal aspects of it. One of the things that I've attempted to do this on a national level, but the probate process is so different from county to county and state to state. It's almost impossible to make one checklist. What I would encourage you to do is to sit down with the funeral home or the funeral home that had that checklist and
right.
Talk to them and create a checklist with them. Like, can I borrow from yours, or can we do
right.
this together? The other idea that I think I talked about in Mastery, I encourage everyone to do, is go sit down with a probate attorney. So approach them and say, listen, we help a lot of families going through probate. What we realize is about 20% of them don't have an attorney at the time they petition for probate. And we know, both of us know, that 99% of them are going to end up with an attorney, and oftentimes that's after they've cost the estate a lot of money. But I'd like to sit down with you and make a probate checklist, just kind of a timeline for our county, and from the date of death all the way through to the closing of probate, and we'll color code everything that I'm going to do in green and everything you're going to do in red. And hopefully that will be a visual representation to the families who don't have an attorney that they probably should seek legal help. And in return for you taking the time to do this, I'll make sure that, we put your name at the footer of the letter, because I understand you because of because of solicitation laws in your industry, you can't
Right.
do this. But I'll include it in my letter, so that way I'll be marketing for you. And it's a great way to create a relationship with a probate attorney to, in turn, earn referrals from them, because when they realize you're providing this standard of this level of service to clients, you're going to be the only one they want their clients working with. And it's a way to get it to be like a really accurate, really local checklist for your market. And it kind of forces you to create a relationship with an attorney. But I think that, the idea of also, using, like, you're taking it down to a very granular level. So rather than saying settle out utilities, you're going to say, here's what you do for DirecTV, here's what you do for Dish, here's what you do for the water authority.
Right.
I love the idea. And maybe you have, like, it's probably going to end up being like a 2-page checklist or timeline. But I think that'll be an extremely valuable piece for you that nobody else in town has. Like, you won't have any, and that's going to greatly differentiate you. So maybe combining the go to the attorney first and then take
Gotcha.
that work and then go to the funeral home and be like, listen, we've kind of covered the broad strokes and the legal aspects of this. I'd like to continue this and get as granular as possible, so this is as helpful of a piece as I can give the families. And sit down and let them put their mark on it too. What you'll probably come up with is a super, super detailed, literally just a checklist of everything they need to do from A to Z. And that's going to be a great
I'm a
piece.
checklist person, so obviously you just skip over the stuff that doesn't apply to you. It didn't apply to the deceased. They don't have that, so move on to the next thing. Do you think, like you had also mentioned in Mastery, it's a really good idea to get to know your clerk and kind of walk through your county's process. Have you found, like, in your conversations, once you get your report and everything, have you found that, like, walking them through the process of this is how they do it here, and these are the things you're going to be expecting, so combining that with the attorney, the attorney's responsibilities, because they don't know what they don't know, so they don't even know what to ask the attorney. And the attorney,
Sure.
no offense to the attorney, but they do this every day, so they just go through their own checklist and sometimes don't necessarily share that information, you know what I mean? Like, so the people don't even know where they're at.
Yep. So I think I like the idea of color coding this, and we've never really taken the idea this far, but I'm imagining a checklist with multiple colors. And the one are the legal aspect, like the attorney's responsibility is in one color. The probate clerk and the court responsibilities are in another color. The family responsibilities that your team can help with are another color, and then the final color is stuff that only the family can deal with, like gaining access to the bank account or opening a bank account, like, filing the last tax return. Those are things that pretty much they're not going to be able to delegate. Now, they have help, like you have help with it, but they have to initiate and close out that process. So you might have like a multicolored checklist with a key that just says, here's what you can expect. These are the things you have help on. And then very clearly in your color, these are the ones that no one can really help you with. This is on you, but we do have resources. We can walk you through it. It's just going to have to be your activity is the only thing that's going to get this checked off the list.
Okay. Well,
Excellent.
like I said, the only other thing we had trouble with was my mom had a Bank of America card. My dad obviously was a user, and they closed it. My niece had power of attorney. We, took care of all of that, and she got it closed. But then when it came time, my dad had been making, they set it up to make payments. My dad wasn't responsible for that. So then we had to turn around and get the money back from them. But he didn't have access to the account because he was not on the account. So it was like this vicious circle of you closed it because you could send the death certificate and then, you know what I'm saying? And so there's those hiccups that you just don't realize that when you get these people on the phone, they're they say, I understand, but I understand how you feel, and then they just move on, but you've got to do this. They don't come up with a solution, so I want to avoid those minor issues that really cause the stress. We think the bigger things cause the stress. It's the minor ones that really make you go over the edge, I promise you.
Yeah.
Great contribution, Sandy. We have 6 more in the queue, so I don't want to go too long. But
One other thing
I did want to say that I agree with completely with my mother. It amazed us how quickly they found out that she had passed away and closed her bank accounts without anybody telling her. You know, both banks did that. I mean, if you use a funeral home, it goes to Social Security and it ends up with all the banks. So it was kind of a nightmare for us, and the bank wouldn't tell us if anybody else was on the account with her. So it took us weeks to unravel that. So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, you make a really good point there. The more proactive you are, the more grief that you can save the family, and that's great that you're thinking that way. Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, thank you. We have 7 more in the queue, guys. I'm probably going to close the queue in about 2 minutes, so jump in there. Make sure you get in today. Next up is phone number ending in 2477. You're up next.
Yes. Mike here.
Hey, Mike.
Yes. Let's see. I wanted just to mention that I ended up, I've taken the course, of course, but and a lot of the things that I had heard in the course really captured the experiences that I went through. So for me, it establishes a lot of credibility to what you all are doing out there. Now, I've only had 3, I'm a real estate broker, so and it turns out that I've had 3 cases where probate was involved. And the first case, a situation where there was 2 sisters, one passed away, everybody else had already passed away, and so the only living possible heir was a sister, and both of them were in their 80s. So that's how that started. I ended up taking the sister. I ended up finding the sister through using some skip tracing through other relatives. I finally found her. We figured out it was her, and then I took her to, I located a probate attorney, which I had no activity with probate attorneys before that. I got a referral to him from another investor, went over there, got that started, and took her through the process. She was very, very grateful, because she would have no idea to do it, so she was always saying how grateful she was. And it turned out to be a complicated process because it was a reverse mortgage, and the bank had it in foreclosure. So, things, but I got through the process. I made money on the process. And I used some of my money to parlay that as well. I got into the second, so 3 deals total. Second deal I got into, we found somebody, again, through skip tracing, using Facebook and all that, because I kind of wanted to start doing this, and we found them. And their first response to us was they don't want to have anything to do with the property. They were in Kansas, and the property was in California, and that was it. They didn't want to have any phone calls, no contact. So I had my daughter, who was more familiar with Facebook and how to get through these things. She located a friend of a friend who she was a friend with on Facebook, and she eventually got around to catching the wife of the gentleman that said they didn't want to have anything to do with anything. She convinced him to go ahead, let's do this, and let's, and deal with it. And it had been 5 years, nobody had done anything, it just sat there. I started because I saw the house, and it had been vacant. But we got all that for, and I took it all, and we went back and forth. And it's interesting because in the beginning they were sort of grateful, but not really. They just kind of kept going through the process with us. I got it all the way to the table where we were making the deal with him. He flew out, and because he had to take care of something else. So I hadn't got a probate attorney or anything. I was just trying to get him out to the table to do something. And I had him at the table. He had been contacted by someone else who found out that something was in the works, found out from a neighbor. And this other investor, who was very confident and very experienced, got a hold of him. He was in California, so he got a hold of him. He came to me first. We went through the deal. I may have offered him lower than I should have, but I don't think so because it was in real disrepair. but the other gentleman, he went to see the second one, who gave him a higher offer that I didn't want to do because I saw the writing on the wall as an investor, and he went with the other guy. So I went through all that work, and then at the last moment, lost it. So that was the second experience. I'm in my third experience now, which is one that I'm entering into, and this is what brings me to the question. So in this case, I have this situation is it's already in probate, so that's the next stage. I haven't done that before. This one's in probate, and it's again two sisters. It turns out one's located about 100 miles away from the other one. The first one passed away. And so I'm going into that process now. How I found them is because of something else I was doing, and I pulled up some documents, probate documents, which we can do at the court online at the court here. And I pulled it up and saw the attorney. I saw the person that's going to be the PR. It turns out that in the second document that they filed, they also release a phone number. They put that in the second document, the second phase, and the phone number is there. So I have that person's phone number, the one that's the PR. And then the third document that was of particular interest to me that I saw was a special filing with the court that asked the court to move up their probate date, a hearing. They're not a PR yet. They're just a petitioner. But they're filing for this. And they actually asked the court to move it up. That was the document that was filed. And the reason is because the property has squatters in it. And they're very concerned that the squatters are going to damage the property, which is probably likely to be true anyway. So they're asking the court to do that. And the court is probably going to do that. That's still to be decided within a week. My guess is they're going to go ahead and say, fine, yeah, let's give her PR so she can get it. Let's give her administration so she can get in there and get those squatters out. But my thought was, in this circumstance, that, and then if I could just mention this, I have a background in sales. Before I ever got in real estate, I was in the computer industry, but I ended up in sales. And our sales were high-end sales, so it was, for us to do our job, we had to do what I call sound bites. We had to call into a company, get past gatekeepers and that sort of thing, get those feel for things, and get what I call sound bites. So we would make a phone call to someone. It might be somebody that's handling the printers in an organization. And we talked to them briefly. And but just briefly. And that way we've made the contact, anything we can do, we'll send you some information, whatever. It's just we always kept our conversations down to like 5 minutes so that they would hardly know we were there and gone again. So they wouldn't really know where they would have no rapport been established yet. We would do that with several different players. It could be the IT director and then somebody else, whatever it was, a number of different people, the users, and we click in with all of them, but we wouldn't spend any real time with them. We just get a hold of a little, what I call soundbite of who they are, what their little interest was, whatever, pull it out, and then we pull a profile together. With that profile, now we would go back, and we would know now the circumstances we were in. We would remember things that they didn't remember, that they didn't know they told us. So we would go back and we would be able to touch on those things. We'd move it forward, and we were able to get the sale. Now, I'm saying that only to say this, that because of those experiences, I'm looking at a case here where I know that there's a need to get those squatters out. And I've done, because of my investing and the things that I've done, I've had to remove squatters a number of times. So I'm very familiar with the eviction process in California and the alternatives, cash and other things that we do with investors and squatters. And so I'm familiar with all of that, and I feel very comfortable in dealing with that. And I know that this lady is going to be very uncomfortable. I haven't talked to her yet, but I'm going to guess if she's like anybody else, she doesn't want to deal with squatters at all. So I do have the name of the attorney because on the document it has the name of the attorney with his phone number. I was thinking that I might want to. Now I have some reason to make a call of something that I can offer that probably not a whole lot of people would offer, and that is that I will take care of the squatters. I will make sure that they are removed from the property. I can do that. And then, of course, as an investor, I could purchase the property. But my thing was to call the attorney, say hi to him, and let him know that we had identified this house as having squatters in it. We did research on the property. We eventually pulled the docs from the court. We know he is the attorney, and offer to help with that aspect of it. That's my entrance into the whole thing. That's their need. And he could say, gee, I got it covered, don't want to bother with that, which is fine. I'm not looking to close him on it. I'm not looking to sell him on it. I just want to test the waters with the real estate, the attorney. Get on, get that out of the way, and then, I'm off the phone again, and it's very cordial. Gee, you're here to help. Oh, okay, you got it, no problem. We're off. Now I know who he is, he knows who I am, and I've started that process. The next thing I would do, my thought is that now I know the attorney, I know the situation. I would be calling the PR, the personal representative. And then now this is that part where the sensitive part is, and I have to deal with issues like, why are you calling me, and how do you know? And because we were in the neighborhood and we do know about the abandoned home, and we do know about the squatters, that would be my entrance. We were in the neighborhood, we saw the abandoned home, we understand there's squatters in there, and we can help you with that if you would like more information there. I haven't got exactly what I'm going to present, but I don't want to close there. Oh, yes.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I don't want to cut you off. We got 7 more in the queue, and this is something that let's let Chad answer, and then this is something we may have to, address individually with you after the call. If it's, you know what I mean, if there's a lot more details. But Chad, what are your thoughts? Best way to handle this?
Well, finish up. Like, you're just looking for validation on your strategy?
Yeah, I'm looking for that because my strategy, because of the nature of the way I do things, is I just want to have some contact with her, just say, okay, yes, we can help you out. She says, oh, gee, no, maybe an attorney's going to handle it, whatever it is, and that's enough. I don't need to set an appointment with her, none of that. Because my experience in probate is if you just move forward with them a little bit, all of the things that, they're going to go down a process that's going to be changing all the time. And if you're there and you understand the landscape, then when it comes to a point where you look like you can pull it together and give that checklist of what your services are to help them, that's when you step in and you say, that's when you set the appointment or whatever you're going to do. And so that's what I'm checking with you on strategy.
Here's what I'll say. Everything you're talking about doing is exactly what we want to see. Like, that level of service is awesome. And the fact that you can take over what is likely to be the most stressful part of all of this for them, which is dealing with, the navigating the California law and getting squatters out of a house. That's tough, especially for someone who's never done it. What I'll caution you against is, you don't know if they actually want help, and you've already done all this work. So I'll caution you not to approach every lead this way. This one kind of initiated with you seeing an abandoned house, and then it sounds like you worked your way back to find out it was probate and this and that. So that's a good way to do that. If you're driving for dollars and you see a vacant house, then what you've done is the right approach. But don't just careful not to start with a list of 100 and try to figure out the story of each one before you pick up the phone and just talk to the PR. And I get, like, your experience in high ticket sales has given you positive reinforcement for this methodology, but I think what you'll find is you won't have time to do this for everyone, and you're going to end up, you'll end up closing 2 to 5% of these. So if you're doing 100, if you're doing that on 100 leads, only 5 of them are really going to be willing to accept your help.
And I think the next person in the queue, Gary, are you there?
I am,
Gary?
yes, sir.
Okay,
yes.
Sorry, Gary. Thank you. And Mike, if you need to discuss that further, I apologize for cutting you off. I just want to get to everybody. Call us right after the call.
Well, let me finish on that. So
sure.
Absolutely move forward the way you just laid it out. Move forward with this one. I wouldn't change anything. Like, you're doing the right things in the right order. So when you make contact with the family, you can say, listen, we actually have already spoken to the attorney. He's on board with letting us help because that's outside of the scope of his service. When will be a good time to meet just to have a discussion and make sure you guys are comfortable with us, and then get the face-to-face appointment. But as you go through your list, what I'm cautioning you against is don't go that deep with everyone until you've spoken to them and you know that they actually want to accept your help, because some of them won't. And I don't want to see you doing all that work on all these and not getting paid for most of it.
Fair enough. And Gary, you're up next. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, this is Gary and John. We're in Las Vegas, and we got our first list just the other day of about 178 leads, and we've been kind of running through those a little bit. Our letters will hit next week, and we're sort of just searching for a little bit of a protocol. I think this first question may have just been answered. We were not worried. We were trying to scrub the list a little bit, with tax records of the deceased known address, just to get a relative value of what the property may be worth. And if, in fact, the deceased actually did still own the property. So what's your recommendation for scrubbing the list, or do we just put our heads down and call the people and find out what the story is?
So we're short on time, so I'll give you the short answer for this. Go to alltheleads.com.
Yeah.
So go to our website. In the top right, you'll see a search bar.
Yeah.
And put in scrub your list, scrubbing your list, kind of like a Google search. Try it a couple different ways. There's at least 2 tips from the trainer videos that I've done that will explain why we tell you not to scrub your list. You should call all of the leads, mainly because by scrubbing lists, you're stepping over dollars to pick up dimes. And you never know what these people own, what's held in trust, what's held in entities, and what's held in other counties or other states. So there are 3,149 counties that Americans can own real estate in. You're looking at tax records of 1, and you're looking in one person's name. So there's a good chance, well, there's almost guaranteed you're going to miss anything that was held in an entity or a trust. And we've got tons and tons of stories that I share some of them in those videos, but best practice is pick up the phone, call, speak to each personal rep, understand their challenges, and ask good questions. Eventually, you'll surprise yourself, and you'll find a package of houses, or you'll find an apartment building or a big commercial asset that was, or something that's completely unrelated to probate, but they're so impressed with your level of service that they only want to do business with you. So I understand the theory behind scrubbing, that I'm just going to focus my marketing dollars and really be, as efficient and effective as I can. But in 6 years of doing this, I've seen millions of dollars made, and you don't know all the ones that were lost, but I've seen a lot of money made by people just picking up the phone and scrubbing the list with a telephone.
Okay. Second question. In the first run through of the calls, do you guys recommend leaving a voicemail or text if it's not answered?
It depends on your frequency. If you're going to be really aggressive and call every day, I would leave a voicemail maybe the first time. If
Right.
you're doing the minimum, like if you're calling once a month, you should always leave a voicemail. But just think about like the lady who opened the call. I'm blanking on her name right now. Sandy. So she said, DirecTV was calling her dad 6 times a day. So you don't want to be that person. If they're not ready to talk, you don't want to be so aggressive that you're driving them inward. And if you're calling every day, leaving the same voicemail every day is probably going to be counterproductive. But if you're calling every 2 weeks, I think that's reasonable to leave a voicemail every couple of weeks, certainly every month. But it really comes down to call frequency. And just use your judgment. If you were in their situation, how many voicemails will be too many voicemails?
Right. Yeah, this is John asking the next question. So that kind of leads into what our next question is, because we do a lot of we kind of have a lot of procedures, because our other part of our business we do is a lot of Google pay-per-click. So we've got a lot of call procedures that go along with this already. So I guess our question is, when you asked about how aggressive we're going to be with the calls, what would you recommend as the best practice? Call through the list 3-4 different times of the day the first week you get it, and then wait again till the next month, or like what kind of frequency are you finding is the best strategy without driving these people crazy?
So it sounds like you guys would really benefit from this other video, not to defer all your questions to a video, but there's if you search in that same search bar in the top right of the site, put in Pannell, P-A-N-N-E-L-L, And that's one of our subscribers in Fort Worth, Texas. He and I did kind of a deep dive on the first year of his campaign and how he, what not to do and then what to do. And like what you'll hear in there when we get to it, probably, I don't know, a third of the way in, David is very aggressively, he started out not following our system, and then he started following the system and found really, really quickly found great success. And then he quickly outgrew our system because it sounds like you guys are that kind of, you're running a business like that. He's very systematic. He tracks every KPI in his business, and everything is systematized, and he has, custom software built to run that. And it sounds like you guys might be playing at that level. So I think you'll really benefit from hearing how he does it. Basically what they're doing is the first week they call once a day. So in the first 7 days, they're placing a call without leaving voicemail. And then, he talks about his follow-up sequence. But David is in one of the most competitive markets in the country, and he's doing over $1 million a year in revenue, with 60% of that coming from wholesale, meaning the family would rather dump it for a discount than list it, and then he's listing the other 40%. So I think you'll get a lot from that video. He and I he pulled the curtain back and let us see everything about his business, how he's doing it. So take an hour and watch that, and I think that'll be helpful for you.
Yeah, that sounds like more the approach that we do to our internet leads as well. It's just hammer them in the first week, and then lay off a little bit after that. So okay, yeah, very good.
And if you guys, one thing else, I'll leave you guys with a bit of a bonus. We don't talk about this a lot because most folks don't really have the skill set in house. But you can, if you upload your probate list because we skip trace, we're giving you phone numbers and email addresses. If you upload that into a custom audience in Facebook, what we find, and you can't see anymore, but back when you could see your audience match rate, and if you have a contact directly with Facebook, you can call in the back end. They can tell you what your match rate is now, even though they don't show it to us. But what we found on the probate list, if you match on first name, last name, phone number, and email, you'll end up getting between an 80 and 90% match rate. So if you have 178 leads, chances are probably 150 of them are going to be in a Facebook audience if you upload that list and match it correctly. And then you can run digital ads directly to the personal representatives. So that's something that sounds like you guys, that wouldn't be overwhelming for you. You should probably consider doing that. And what I recommend is put up a, just use a simple video, probably, an animated video that says, are you an executor in Clark County, Nevada? Did you know there's a team here in town to help with every aspect? And just, that's it. And get them off of Facebook, get them onto a landing page with a video of you standing in front of the Clark County Courthouse, explaining the same way you would if you were looking them in the eye, just talking directly to them. And don't script it. Don't use a teleprompter. Just be genuine and talk to the camera the way you would talk to the personal representative. And if that campaign can really, really help you, it looks like you're everywhere. They've seen you in the mailbox. They've heard you on the phone. Now they see you on Facebook. So if you guys are, you're doing a lot of stuff online already, if you really want to optimize this and get every bit of opportunity, get your Facebook funnel set up and do that, and that'll really help you out.
Awesome. We have 4 more in the queue, guys. We're probably going to go 10 minutes over, but the queue is now closed. And next up is phone number ending in 8564. You're up next.
Yes, good afternoon. Thurman Cohn here from Mercer County, New Jersey.
Yes, sir.
You guys have been doing, I've been using your ISA somewhat, and one of the drawbacks is that you guys don't make calls to the VNC identified numbers. So I was thinking about using a VA, and how would you go about interviewing one and training one?
So are you talking about a domestic or an offshore VA?
Domestic.
So the best way to train your domestic VA is cut them loose in our role play archive. I find that, with offshore VAs that are working for $3-4 an hour, I've never seen them be able to get to the skill set to actually get the appointments the way we teach on the role play calls, like the way we teach you guys as the practitioner. But with domestic ISAs, as long as they understand the culture and they have, pretty no accent or pretty neutral accent, it's fairly easy for them to get all the way to the, to get in there and get the details, set the appointment, and you don't have to do much else. So the role play archive is probably the best resource you have. I mean, you have, 51, 52 hours of just specific, probate-specific role play. So if you find the right person that has phone experience that, quite honestly, I wouldn't want to get an ISA that like someone that came from a debt collector call center, because they're taught to go straight for the jugular, the hell with rapport, they owe us money, just aggravate them till they pay us. And that's not the right kind of person. But if you have somebody with customer service experience on the phone that understands empathy, you can probably cut them loose in the role play archive and have a rock star ISA.
Okay. Thanks much.
Thank you much. All right, 3 more in the queue. Next up is phone number ending in 0604. You're up next.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hey, my name is Mello, and I'm in the Broward County, South Florida market, and I'm recently now getting into looking into probate deals. I got the probate most recently filed probate cases off of my county website. It's a little bit complicated, but I finally figured out how to do it, get it in an Excel spreadsheet and everything. But what I'm struggling with is organizing my leads, organizing the prospects. And I'm also I want to be able to do it to a point where I can get everything. I can understand everything myself, so that I can delegate it to a virtual assistant. Right now, I'm doing it myself, and I'm just going through obituaries. I'm using all kinds of different sources to find the representatives or the executors' information. And it just doesn't seem like something I can scale. I just wanted some insight on the best way to organize and find the executed information the best and fastest way, so that I can quickly delegate that onto a virtual assistant so we can upload it into my dialer.
What's your income goal for 2020?
For 2020, I have yet to close a deal, but by March 15th, I'm planning on closing my first deal. By the end of the year, I hope to make at least $50,000. But by March 15th, I plan on making $10,000.
So let's just say it's $50,000. So that makes your time worth $25 an hour. You're finding already how hard it is to manage the data. Have you started skip tracing to get phone numbers and email addresses yet?
Yeah, no, I definitely I've skip traced. I've used other sources. Like I drive for dollars religiously almost every day. Tax delinquent, a bunch of different other leads. I skip trace and I call every single day. I try and call at least 20 hours a week. I'm recently getting into the whole probate side of things, so it's just a little bit different. But yeah, I'm very.
What I'm getting at, man. So a lot we see this is pretty common. So especially when people are getting started out, they try to quote save money by doing everything manually. The reason you're on this phone call and the reason this company exists is because we recognize that. And it takes, the average county is going to take 6 to 10 hours to gather the data, validate it, skip trace it, get it into a spreadsheet, and then what do you do with it? And that's kind of where you're at now. So if your time is worth $25 an hour, you're going to be, you're probably spending at least 10 hours already. So you've already blown $250 worth of your time, and you haven't gotten started. So what I'm getting at, our system not only gets the data for you, we're gonna take the public data, we're gonna skip trace it, augment it, so give you valid phone numbers and email addresses, validate the mailing addresses, push it into a CRM designed specifically to save you time and money as you prospect the list and to keep everything organized. It's tied directly to a mail house, so we'll fulfill your direct mail without you ever doing. You go in, set it up, click a button, and you never do another direct mail campaign. It's automated. So for what you're going to pay for this full system is, in almost every case, everyone that I've ever challenged on this, unless their income goal is like 20 grand a year, and their time's not worth much. But if your time is valuable, and if you're really planning on scaling into a real estate business, if you have a budget, you're much better off just paying us to do what we're good at and we're better than you at, and then take what we teach and like do dollar productive activities. So you might not even need a VA. You might have additional cost savings, but because the automation we provide as part of your subscription might eliminate the need for a VA. So you're only doing the dollar productive things. You're talking to people and going on appointments. So if you haven't looked at what we charge for Broward County, you might want to look into that and you know,
I've taken a
have one of our.
And I see, you know, it's a really reasonable price, but I'm just like, I have very little budget right now. I'm up to my neck in debt, and like, even though my time is.
So the best thing you can do if you really want to bootstrap this, once you get it into a spreadsheet, move it over to Google Sheets.
Okay.
And do you know how to do data validation?
Yes.
Okay, so create a table over on a separate sheet and have like your you know, the lead rating, and it could be warm, hot, cold, or it could be selling, not selling, follow up, whatever you want that to be, whatever your rating system is. Put that in a list, and then, you know, and then over on your main spreadsheet, add a column and do data validation on that table. So you'll have a drop down beside of each one. And you're basically creating a CRM inside of Google Sheets. It's just a really basic, simple CRM. But that's, if you understand what I'm talking about, that's a really, that's a free way for you to not get overwhelmed in doing this. You basically just turn the Google Sheet into a CRM. And the reason I recommend a Google Sheet is no matter where you are, what device is in your hand, you'll always have access to it. So that would be my advice, and you know, is kind of a interim solution. Is you've done all the data work, get it into a CRM where you can manage it, and like add a column for letter 1, a column for letter 2, a column for letter 3, and each time you send a letter, go put a date in that column so you can keep track of how many times you've touched them with direct mail, how many, and then each like phone call 1, phone call 2, phone call 3. And then as you're making those calls, put those dates in. So then you can use a simple sort function to see which ones you've called, which ones are rated at a certain rating. And you basically just turn Google Sheets into a simple CRM. Now, again, that's going to take you a couple of more hours to set that up. So what I would say is focus on, you know, lead with revenue. Try to get a deal closed as soon as you can, and rather than hiring somebody to manage all that process, just subscribe and automate it. Like it's much easier to just plug into what we've created than to train a VA to do all this manually.
All right, we have 2 more in the queue. Second to last up is phone number ending in 2935. You're up next.
How are we doing
Stephen,
today?
you're up next. Doing great.
Great. My name is Steve Sala. I'm a 19-year real estate agent in the Detroit metropolitan area in the state of Michigan. And my entire career I spent prospecting on the phone, expires and for sell by owners, and I'm looking to get in an extension of my current business. The questions I have for you is if I'm investing a full schedule into building a real estate business, is this something that is going to take up a lot of my time throughout the day and take away from my current business?
Well, every new niche is going to take a little bit of time, but just like I explained to the last caller, we have built every bit of our system to to maximize your dollar productive activity. So we don't want you to be messing around with letters and fulfilling direct mail. We don't want you to have to figure out a system or how to get this imported into your CRM. We've built all that for you, and it's all part of your subscription price. So your prospecting time is going to be your real investment here. And, for what we find is a call pace of about 12 per hour. So we're giving you up to 5 phone numbers for the personal representative. So if you're hand dialing and leaving voicemail, you're going to have a call pace of about 12 leads per hour. So you can figure out about how many hours it would take to get through the list each time, divide it by 12. And that's pretty much what your time commitment's going to be. As far as data management, it's all automated for you. You spend 30 minutes, go in, set up your letters on our online editor, click autopilot. You never have to handle marketing fulfillment ever again. It just happens. And you'll know when it happens because you'll get a copy of your own letter. We're going to seed your list. So really your only time commitment here is additional prospecting time. And, obviously if you're setting appointments, you're going to be going on those appointments. But that's what you're used to in the rest of your business.
Yeah, so I'm listening to all these conversations, and I don't, no disrespect, but what I keep getting out of these conversations is I'm hearing, it sounds like a lot of people not following your system and trying to do their own thing. And the reason why I was, yeah.
So we've built a reputation. We allow public access to everything we do because we really believe in making a difference at the community level. So there are a lot of people on this call who aren't subscribers of ours, and they're sitting on the fence trying to figure out, should I do it my way or should I trust the proven system?
I see.
And even,
I see. Okay.
I referenced the video with David Pinnell as a gentleman making $1 million a year using this system. He didn't do that for the first 8 months. He decided to reinvent the wheel or do it his way. And when he started using it as a system, then he took off, and he quickly outgrew it and built his own version. And that's fine. That's great. Like if you're moving that fast, I fully support that. But that's what you're hearing is people who are looking to get into the space and they trust us as experts, and we welcome that because we know what value we bring to the table. It's just sometimes hard to demonstrate when people haven't gotten started yet. But if you go to the courthouse and pull the data and try to systematize all this, that's why this company exists, because Jim and I did that, and we realized it's almost unsustainable for most people. So,
and I'll end on this one. So as a realtor, am I allowed to buy these properties as an investment if I'm a licensed realtor?
Sure. The only thing I would say is I would follow my direction. I have separate entities, separate bank accounts, separate credit cards, and separate QuickBook files, separate insurance policies for each function of my real estate business. So if I'm doing creative financing, that happens in one. If I'm doing acquisition, like a wholesale or a flip, that happens in another. If I'm doing brokerage, that happens in another. So then if anyone reports me to the state and says, oh, he's a real estate agent and I thought he was representing me, not only do I have full disclosure in my contracts, I also have the damage contained within an entity with a separate insurance policy. And that's being overly cautious, but I worked for a big company, and I've unfortunately been part of a very litigious culture. So I just cover my assets from the very beginning. And
you tell us how to do that too as well? That's something that you help us with?
Yeah, if you want, you can call support and have them elevate you to my calendar, and I'll help you structure your entities. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Hey, good afternoon. Mike here from New Jersey. I'm here with Guy, and we are subscribers. And,
hey, Mike.
How you doing? So we got started about a week ago, and we've had some success, got a couple appointments, which is fantastic. We just had a question about a situation we've run into making calls. When the spouse answers, so you're calling for Mary and you get Joe, and what's the dialogue that you recommend for that when they ask, okay, what are you calling about?
And this is not a surviving spouse. This is the spouse of the personal rep who's still living, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So it's just, hey, Mary, listen, the reason we're calling, we realize Joe's the executor of an estate, and we have a team of folks right here in your community, and most folks aren't aware of that. So we wanted to reach out early in the process because that's usually when people feel most overwhelmed and we can make the biggest difference. So we were just calling to see if there might be a time that we could, talk with you and Joe and see what we might be able to take off your plate. Do you know when Joe will be home, or do you mind sharing his cell phone number with us?
Gotcha. Okay, so tie them both together as a team. Okay.
You're going to eventually, anyways, and you're just making her feel included from the beginning. And she's the wife. She has more leverage than anybody in this situation, right?
Yeah. All right. Fantastic. Yeah, that was it. Thank you.
All right. Another great call, guys. Thanks for your patience. We had well over 100 people, and almost all of you stayed till the end. I want to end this call the same way I always do. I want to thank all of you for being here. I want to particularly thank the 10 people that actively participated. And I want to challenge each of you, take one idea, one thought, one thing you heard on this call, go out and put it into practice and come back next week and share your results with the group. Thank you so much, guys. Make it a great week, and we will talk to you same time next Thursday. Take care.